Week 2 of the NFL is in the books and we're on to week 3. But before we get there, let's go ahead do some power rankings. Let's see who's the best of the best and the worst of the worst. What's crack-a-lack? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice beautiful football discourse. If you're unfamiliar with our tier system here, we have bottom of the league, could be but unlikely playoff contenders. Then we have an actual playoff contenders tier. We have playoff teams, and right above that are legit Super Bowl contenders. And as always, we're gonna start from the bottom, and we gotta start with the Chicago Bears, man. Oh, is Fields it? Is he it? He did not look that impressive against the Bucks, and it's not like he was getting pressured out of his mind. I want to say he looked conservative in the pocket, like overtly conservative, which was something people talked about him coming out of Ohio State. He was afforded so much time in pass protection, but now it's like, man, he's just missing wide open guys and trying to run with the football. And I know the scheme isn't nearly conducive to, I guess, making the best use of his abilities under Luke Getsy, but I mean, this Chicago Bears team, they're a bottom team, man. The defense is not great, and yeah, they're dropping a couple of spots here for me, but right behind them is that Arizona Cardinals squad. Here, let's move like this. The Arizona Cardinals are gritty, man. They literally made the Giants look like a repeat of the Dallas game until that second half. Then Giants came roaring back, and I mean, for a team that's probably one of the most deprived of talent squads in the NFL, they're playing really hard for Jonathan Gannon, and it does feel like, okay, this is a team that's playing hard. They're gonna be, by the end of the year, they're gonna kind of know which parts that they want to move forward with. They're gonna have some good tools at their disposal, being with 2 first-round picks and whatnot. So a team that's trending in the right direction, but they are gonna have to suck this season really to get there. And I feel like they're there. I really thought they were gonna hold on to the bottom spot all season long, but honestly, it was an impressive performance against the New York Giants, though that might be more of an indictment on the Giants. Coming in at number 30, I have the Houston Texans. There we go. Stroud just needs to survive the year. The offensive line was missing Titus Howard. They were missing Laremy Tunsil. This line's in shambles. They're limited at the playmaker position, though Nico Collins and Tank Dell looked very promising. And I think they were down both their safeties this week, Jimmy Ward and Jalen Pitre. And I mean, they still came out and they played as well as you could expect. Stroud looked good when he wasn't being pressured, and he really just needs to survive the season. This is a team in rebuild, so yeah, they're going to be a part of this bottom of the league segment. But I only have one other team that I include as bottom of the league, and that's the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are in a rebuild. I know a lot of people want to think coming into the year that they were further ahead than they were. They're not. The interior of this offensive line looked terrible, and even now, Bradley Bozeman, he looks serviceable at best. So it's not looking great. The playmakers are limited. I mean, Adam Thielen might be his best playmaker out there. They can't really get anything going with Miles Sanders. Bryce Young's making rookie mistakes. Games still need kind of slow down for him, and they're starting to get injuries on the defense. Like they lost Shaq Thompson this week. They lost J.C. Horn last week. So yeah, listen, Panthers are in a rebuild. They will be better next year, but there's gonna be some lumps and some bumps when it comes to this season. Now, to start off this whole could be but unlikely category, I'm gonna go with the Indianapolis Colts. I was thoroughly surprised with just how well Anthony Richardson's playing, and I don't want to say, okay, it's not like he's been great. He's been spectacular. No, you could definitely tell the accuracy is not where it needs to be. The processor is still not there, but like in terms of, you can see how gifted he is as an athlete, how gifted that arm is, and what, I mean, he ended up leaving in the first half because of a concussion. He bumped his head on that second touchdown run. But the defense is good. Like Gus Bradley will keep that team, that defense kind of like middle of the league, even despite being very young at corner. And I mean, all in all, man, like I think it's very unlikely they make the playoffs, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I think a lot of things have to go right offensively. Obviously, Anthony Richardson's being helped out by a wonderful offensive line, playing much better than it did last season. But I don't know if he has enough playmakers. I don't know. We'll find out when Jonathan Taylor returns, if he returns. So some questions that need to be answered there. The Las Vegas Raiders are coming in here at 27. Oh man, yeah, I mean, we all kind of anticipated that they were gonna get stomped by the Buffalo Bills, and they did. This offensive line couldn't run block worth crap, man. Like Josh Jacobs legitimately had -2 rushing yards, kind of wild. They didn't have Jacoby Myers. That was kind of a big hit, so Jimmy G was kind of limited with what he had to work with, but he still had Devontae Adams there. And the defense is just kind of outside of like Crosby. They could probably turn over a bunch of those starters, but the Raiders, I still feel like they're a bottom half of the league team, a bottom 20 team at that. Okay, let's talk about it. The Giants, are they contenders or pretenders? Well, I thought that they could be decent this year, but I said it in my deep dive. This is a plucky underdog overachieving team. I don't know how much they can overachieve once again this season. I still think they vastly need more weapons. I know they added Waller, they got Jalen Hyatt, but they need more than that. And offensively, they really do. And with Saquon potentially maybe being out 2 to 3 weeks, or maybe playing Thursday Night Football this week, they're missing their biggest playmaker. Daniel Jones and this offense looked incompetent for 6 quarters, and they turned it on in the second half against one of the worst teams in the league. The defense, we'll figure out things with the defense. They're young. You got Deontay Banks out there making rookie mistakes. KT's been solid, but man, I kind of expect more here in season 2. So yeah, man, the Giants, I just feel like they're more overachievers. I really, part of me doesn't think that they're going to contend for the playoffs this year. Could be totally wrong about that. I'm also noted Daniel Jones, I don't want to say hater, but non-believer. So there is that. Next, I have the Los Angeles Rams. They've kind of been inching up my list quite a bit here, and it's kind of impressive. They went out and they competed with the Niners, when honestly I don't think they should have. The offensive line was terrible, as everyone and their mom expected. Granted, the defensive line for the Niners is kind of nuts, but they even made Javon Kinlaw look good. He had like 4 pressures in that game. Matthew Stafford, though, he's looking good. He's looking sharp. Puka Nacua is looking solid. Tutu Atwell starting to emerge. The running back position, I mean, to be fair, they don't got much of a line to run behind, but now you got Cam Akers potentially moving here. The defense is still just Aaron Donald against the world. So there's still a lot of problems with this squad, but they are playing much better than I anticipated. At 24, I got the Denver Broncos. Listen, this offense is too like Katy Perry. First you're hot, and then you're cold. You're yes, and then you're no. You're in, and then you're out. That's just how it is. I do think they kind of lack playmakers. People might find that crazy with Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. Those are big names, but it's like they haven't really been big time performers. I know Jerry Jeudy was kind of on a pitch count, just came back. I want to see them utilize Marvin Mims more. So he kind of exploded. Only targeted twice, and I think it was only on the field for like 14 snaps. The offensive line, some of those guys that they paid premium money for, have kind of been so-so. Mike McGlinchey, Ben Powers. And honestly, defensively, I thought the team's been very good. That they're kind of this, what is it, Christmas Island of misfit toys type of good. Like, there's really no star there, but there's a lot of guys that have contributed and done a good job at that. And I think the secondary is pretty darn solid as well. But like the offense is just too stagnant. It really is. They go through too many spells of just being not great, Russell included, man. Which strangely is like Russ is still outplaying how he did last season. All right, number 23 is the team that beat the Broncos. It's the Washington Commanders. Eric Bieniemy has done a wonderful job preparing Sam Howell. We finally saw what Sam Howell could do if he limits those mistakes, because anytime he makes a mistake, it's extremely costly, like very detrimental. We're talking walk into the end zone, other team detrimental. And he kind of reeled it back a little bit, and we saw that offense explode, able to overcome a 21-3 deficit. The defensive line looking fantastic. Emmanuel Forbes, he took some rookie bumps in this game, but I think Washington, they're trending in the right direction. At 22, I got the Minnesota Vikings. That's right. We're going to be in this category for a couple of more teams, but the Minnesota Vikings, they were competitive against the Broncos, even though the offense maybe didn't look ideal. And surprisingly, I want to say they were competitive against the Eagles. Eagles, honestly, that game never really felt in doubt, but they stayed in it. And Kirk Cousins played magical. He really did, especially considering the offensive line kind of sucked. They now bring in Dalton Reisner. I don't know if he's going to be manning one of the guard positions, whether that's Cleveland's. I imagine it's Eddie Ingram. Eddie Ingram's been really bad. Hopefully they can get Garrett Bradbury back. I don't know. I don't think they slapped him on IR, so he would be eligible to return. And you got Brian O'Neill still playing wonderful, and then hopefully Kinlaw could be healthy. He was out against the Eagles. And then defensively, it's kind of like what you expect. It's you're kind of hoping that defensively this team will just do enough. And to be fair, like, Flores has schemed a lot of things. Like, he ran a lot of mug fronts against the Eagles. Unfortunately, that kind of enabled the Eagles to be able to run the ball very effectively. But still, like, I feel like the defense is doing its part. It's doing enough. It's these costly turnovers, man. Wasn't it like 4 fumbles? Freaking on Thursday night, you had Justin Jefferson fumbling before he gets to the end zone. However you feel about that rule, I think that rule's fine. It's always been that way, and suddenly now people are going to be talking about like they have a problem with it. It's like, okay, that's weird, but all right, is what it is. But I think the Vikings are a better team than their 0-2 record currently. And then lastly, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know how long Baker Mayfield could put up this facade that he can be a capable quarterback for a whole season. I know we're only 2 games in, just wait for it. But this team's playing a hella good. They really are. That defense is really good. And as long as Baker Mayfield could just mitigate the turnovers, then watch out for the Bucs, man. Watch out. Now let's move to this playoff contender spot on the list here, and we're going to start with the Tennessee Titans. Big win against the Los Angeles Chargers, being able to get that win. I believe it went to overtime, but Ryan Tannehill looked so much better. This was like the Ryan Tannehill of like 3 years ago, where it looked like he was this like top 12 quarterback in the league. And as long as he can be mistake free, man, this team's going to do well, because this defense is really good. It's going to give them a lot of opportunities. They're giving Tajay the ball, I don't want to say a ton. He had like 10 touches this week, but still, I mean, they're really trying to ease the workload off of Derrick Henry so he could go out and be fresh Derrick Henry. So I like this. I like Tennessee. They're well coached. I'm never gonna say that they're out of it. Next team up here is the Green Bay Packers. Interesting game they had against Atlanta. You had the whole thing on Twitter with Jordan Love looking drunk at the wheel, taking a snap under center, misstepping, and then falling over his center. It was hilarious, but like all in all, like Jordan Love's doing enough. The playmakers on this team, they're young, but they're better than you would expect, and they're doing this they did this without Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. Hopefully they could get those guys back in the next couple of weeks. And defensively, this is a really, really good squad. Like Joe Barry be darned. They're gonna be good in spite of him. So I do think the Packers are gonna be contenders in that NFC North. It's gonna be a real tight NFC North. It really is. Next, this is actually my biggest faller on the list. It's the New York Jets. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. Say, let's see Zach Wilson full game. They got Dallas this week, and it went about as expected. They got in a hole early. He was unable to consistently move the ball down the field aside from a long touchdown to Garrett Wilson. They really need to hand the ball off more to Breece Hall because Dalvin Cook looks, well, cooked. And I mean, defensively, this team's still doing its thing. I know a lot of people went out on Twitter was like, oh man, CeeDee Lamb like sauce. And you go back and like, I think that CeeDee Lamb was only targeted 3 times when Sauce was on him, and it was for like a first down, 16 yards altogether. Like, okay, let's not play like Sauce isn't one of the best corners in the league. The dude almost had a pick 6 in this game. He just dropped it. But yeah, the Jets defense could only do so much when the offense is this just blah 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 blah, you know. So I don't know what they're gonna do at quarterback. I mean, I guess they're gonna give obviously Wilson another run here, but you want to start maybe looking for a potential solution elsewhere because it feels like you're gonna need it. I feel like this isn't the lowest we're gonna see the Jets here. Next, I got the Atlanta Falcons. They doing the dang thing. The only thing holding this team back is Desmond Ridder. He has not looked good at quarterback, and it looks like this offense is scheming him up so that it's like, hey, just don't be careless with the football. And honestly, it's the truth. Like, he had a couple of nice passes here and there, but I mean, then there were some where it was just like, where are you throwing to? What was the plan there? In particularly, I think there was a couple in the red zone where I thought they could have been turnovers. Bijan's nice. So nice, I'm going to say it twice. Bijan's nice. Bijan's nice. Oh, man. The defense also playing really well for Atlanta. They're jumping out to 2-0 record here is really cool, but it does feel like they're kind of weighed down by a very mediocre quarterback. All right, and the next team I have here is the New England Patriots. Listen, they're 0-2. They're way better than an 0-2 record. They have the second toughest schedule per my rankings, per my projections. And I mean, they opened the year with the Eagles and the Dolphins, and they were around in both those games. Mac Jones wasn't making the big time throws he did against the Eagles. I say wasn't making them, he just really wasn't attempting it. It was like kind of nickel and diming down the field. And one time he went deep, I think it was intercepted by X or something. It was nice to see the run game make an appearance again. They did get Michael Onwenu, there we go, back for this game, but there's gonna be some tackle's gonna be a problem for this team. Defensively, this team's fabulous. Hopefully everything's good with Marcus Jones. I think it was a shoulder injury he suffered in that game. But they're 0-2, but they're a way better 0-2 than you would expect. All right, going to 2-0. I got the New Orleans Saints as playoff contenders. Yes, there is going to be a winner in the NFC South. There's going to be a team from that division that will go to the playoffs, but I'm not comfortable calling any of them actual playoff caliber teams. Derek Carr is still showing you his peaks and valleys in a whole game. He threw into triple coverage against the stinking Panthers. This run game can't get started because guess what? Your offensive line play ain't all that great. Like the whole left side of that line is just blah, blah, blah. Even James Hurst came in and was like, man, I'm a better tackle than guard. Why y'all got me a guard here, man? Dang it. Pennant, honestly, I think he looked actually better than he did in the opener. Jamal Williams, unfortunately, he's hurt. He's going to be gone a few weeks with a hammy issue. So, Tony Jones? I don't know. Maybe Kendre Miller can get back. They also get Kamara back after this week. The defense has been amazing. That, like, I wrote this in my notes. Like, it feels like Cam Jordan is... It's like last year never happened. He's back to his old self. Brian Brazil looks amazing, and they've really only used him in limited snaps. I think he only had 28 in this game. And then Carl Granderson is slowly turned into a budding star. Watch out. So like there's good with this. It's just the offense kind of does feel like this. It feels weird. It feels weird offensively. See me doing the wave here. Playmakers hella good though for the Saints. All right, next team up here is the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson, is he good? You gotta start asking this question now. Is he ever gonna be the player we saw in Houston? Because he looked, honestly, he didn't look great. He didn't look great against the Steelers. The pick six wasn't his fault. Bounced off Harrison Bryant's hands, but his accuracy was all over the place. He was overthrowing guys left and right. Like Elijah Moore had 2 or 3 catches just because of how far Watson let him out of bounds. He couldn't get the other foot down. Like Elijah Moore honestly should have had bigger numbers. Unfortunately, yes, Nick Chubb, he's out for the year. Gruesome knee injury. That really sucks. Jerome Ford looks like he's going to be able, and you're not going to be able to replace Nick Chubb. He's like the best running back in the league. But it looks like Jerome Ford, at least you got some promise there. DeJuan Jones looked good in his first start in spite of, having to face. He looked as good as he can against TJ Watt. And it's a shame with this Cleveland team. Like, they need to get the offense rolling because this defense is amazing. They'll be good. They'll be good. Matter of fact, while we're here, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They barely beat the Browns here, and their offense looked crap too. The offensive line all looked bad. Everything about the offensive line was freaking atrocious. They couldn't get the run game started. Najee Harris was being outplayed by Jalen Warren. Aside from a 71-yard touchdown from George Pickens, like Kenny Pickett, what was he doing? What was he doing all night? And I think Pickett could bounce back. I really can. He was really good at the back end of his rookie year. So I do expect this team to bounce forward, but there's a lot of questions offensively, especially now with Deontay Johnson out for 4 weeks. But defensively, this team is getting it done. Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, even Larry Ogunjobi got in on the action last night. The linebacker play's been really good as well. So like the offense just they need to get it. They need to click. They need to just be an offense. Move the ball. All right, the last team I have in this category is the 0-2 Chargers, and this is wild. They've lost back-to-back weeks, and it kind of feels like the Chargers of old, right? Oh, close game, they losing it. Charger gonna Charger. This team has a very good offense. Justin Herbert, I think, is looking solid this year. Opposed to what? He looks solid every year. Maybe some people are like, he's not taking that jump to elite. He kind of chokes in big moments. I think the glass is half full, half empty on that. You could look at it from either way. But I think the offense is much improved from last season. It's his defense. His defense sucks. There, I said it. Brandon Staley, I think he's gonna get fired. And wow, like what are we doing here? You're a defensive minded coach and you can't get this defense to make a stop against a Ryan Tannehill who just was fresh off a 3 interception game. Listen, I have basically like a lot of these teams are very close in my rankings. We could go to even like as far as Atlanta here. But when it comes down to it, I went with the team with the best quarterback, and it's Justin Herbert to kind of lead off this category here. Now let's go ahead and let's move to playoff teams. And we're going to start this off with the Detroit Lions, baby. Lost in overtime to the Seahawks. Seahawks were able to clap back. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead, bring the Seahawks up here too, because they're the next team I'm going to talk about, and they're actually number 10 in the power rankings. I thought Detroit looked good offensively. I thought Jared Goff did what he needed to do to keep this team in the ball game. And defensively, it does look like, they're still a ways away. This is probably at best a mid defense. And I mean at best. Like, they need to find means of getting pass rush outside of Aiden Hutchinson. I think James Houston's going to IR with a ankle or chest injury. I can't recall. But talking about the other core, there's the Seattle Seahawks. Listen, Geno Smith, I don't think he's going to be as good as last year. Again, I said that whole, with how often he was hitting deep passes last season, he was 56% in terms of his adjusted completion percentage on passes of 20 plus yards. That's not a sustainable number, and it has gone down through these first 2 games. But Geno Smith looked a heck of a lot better than he did in week 1. And they did this without Charles Cross, who's, I think, week to week, and then Abraham Lucas, who's actually on IR. They had Stone Forsythe and, was it Jack Curran? Yeah, Jack Curran had himself a solid game. So, that's on y'all, Lions, man. Y'all should have been able to get to the quarterback. Defensively, I still kind of question where's the pass rush for the Seahawks. I think Devon Witherspoon made his debut here. And I think he allowed a touchdown, but he had a pass breakup as well. So there were ups, there were downs. It's gonna happen. He's a rookie. Number 9 here. I'm hoping I'm not too early on this. Listen, I think the Bengals are a Super Bowl team. They started last year 0-2, but this is a different feel from last season because Joe Burrow re-aggravating the calf. The offense just looking inept. It's not a good look. The run game, non-existent. Play calling, uninspiring. Which, I don't know. We ended the year Zach Taylor was one of the better play callers. But now he's starting the year like he did last year. So I don't know what's up with that. Hopefully... I think the x-rays came back negative, or the MRI came back negative, and Burrow should be able to go, and hopefully he could get back healthy from this calf. But man, I really don't like bumping this team this far down because I do think they're Super Bowl contenders, but I do feel more alarmed at this 0-2 start than I did last year, where it was they lost 2 games in overtime. All right, number 8 on my list is gonna be the Jacksonville Jaguars. They had a solid game against the Chiefs. They were able to stay in it for the most part. The defense did a relatively solid job and did a good job forcing mistakes from Mahomes. Offensively, they couldn't really get things going, but Trevor Lawrence was playing really, really well, man. I think oddly enough, much like Elijah Moore, Calvin Ridley was kind of on the same side of that, where you go to make a catch and you just can't get the other foot in bounds. Kind of weirdly enough there, but I think better days are ahead for the Jags, and yeah, I mean when you come out and you compete well against a Super Bowl contender, then yeah, you're gonna be you're probably a playoff team. Next, at number 7, I have the Baltimore Ravens. Impressive win here against the Cincinnati Bengals. The offense was humming, and they were doing this without Ronnie Stanley. They were doing this without Tyler Linderbaum. I think they had Sam Mustipher, of all people, in there at center, who had a good game. And what was it? Patrick Bakari? Yeah. That's who they had, a left tackle. Who, one of the best 6 men on a roster, man. Yeah, that guy deserves money elsewhere to be a starter. The defense did enough. They weren't exactly getting as much pressure as they did last week, but I think that's fine. This defense solid. They were missing some key contributors there too. Marlon Humphrey. They were missing. Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. Hold on. We were missing Marlon Humphrey. We were missing Tyus Bowser. I forgot Marcus Williams, one of my favorite safeties in the league. Ardarius Washington was also knocked out of this game. So yeah, I mean, they're doing this beat up. They're going to get healthier as the year goes on. And Gus Edwards and Justice Hill looked like a fine duo. So, like, yeah, I'm not going to doubt Baltimore, man. I'm not. And then the last team I'm going to have in here, and I'm hesitant to call them a Super Bowl contender right now, but we're not at the Chiefs yet, Gojo. It's my Miami Dolphins. Fins up, baby, fins up. I'm a big Dolphins fan. If you don't know, now you know. I love the Dolphins, and they've come out and they have won 2 close ones. Though Patriots game, I mean, we were leading that whole game, and honestly, that game score-wise was much closer than it felt while watching it. The Dolphins looked great. They got the running game going. I love to see that. The defense showed up a bit more this week. Bradley Chubb, in the absence of Jalen Phillips, had himself a game. Boy, did he. So my Dolphins, they're on the verge of that Super Bowl contender. But let's go ahead, get to my 5. I got 5 teams as Super Bowl contenders. The Buffalo Bills being able to bounce back in a big way. Good on them. Josh Allen acted much more as the distributor this week rather than this whole backyard football, just slinging it willy-nilly, trying to make the big play. He played within Ken Dorsey's offense here, and it looked good. They were balanced. James Cook was cooking, unlike his brother. The defense played a very good game. This is the Bills team we have come to expect. So after a bit of a hiccup in week 1, they bounced back. I think that was kind of to be expected. Next up here, I have I believe it's the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. Because not much is changing here at the top. Dallas Cowboys looked heck of impressive against the New York Jets, but they should, because it was Zach Wilson. Micah Parsons looks darn near unstoppable. DeMarcus Lawrence is just enjoying the ride there. It's like, oh man, they're so worried about Parsons, man. I'm basically just getting to the quarterback for free. I love it. Yeah, man. This is a good squad offensively. They're a well-oiled machine. They run well enough because the defense honestly can handle a lot of the heavy lifting, so it actually helps the offense quite a bit. And then next, I got the Philadelphia Eagles. Not the most impressive outing, I will say, having the Vikings kind of stay in that game. But it was nice to see the run game come alive under DeAndre Sweat. Whenever they get Kenneth Gainwell back from the rib injury, that's going to be an interesting dynamic. Rashad Penny, I enjoy the bench. You've earned it. Don't go out there and get hurt. I mean, honestly, the offense looks like it was running well. I mean, Jalen Hurts probably had a couple of passes that are a bit like, man, what are you doing throwing that one? But we saw that he could still hit the deep bomb. Both of them were to Devontae Smith, ironically. And defensively, this team is not to be trifled with. They were down some key starters in the secondary, so Kirk Cousins being able to go off on them a little bit doesn't surprise me too much, but they were still able to create a lot of pressure, and they basically neutralized that run game. Not that I believed the Vikings had a run game to begin with. Next, I got the Kansas City Chiefs. Did it look perfect with Travis Kelce back? No, it didn't. But you know what? Like, it was better than what it was. They at least had a target out there. Listen, Kelce, they typically say it's about a 3 to 4 week recovery. He's kind of shortened that by a week. So as Kelce gets healthier, I think this offense will start humming a bit more. They need to cut down on the penalties. 10 penalties by the offensive line in that game. That's ridiculous. And you know what? Chris Jones, pay him so much money this offseason. Dude came out, was like, hey, I could start anytime you want. You want the best defensive player in the league? That's right, I said it. The best, let's say, defensive interior in the league. Hey, just call me and I'll be there. And it was literally that. He came in 6 pressures, 2 sacks, like it was nothing, just business as usual. So it's great to have Chris Jones back for this defense. And then finally, we got the San Francisco 49ers. I was honestly more impressed with the Rams' performance against the Niners than I was with the Niners playing a close game with the Rams. Listen, the offense ran well. They got 30 points again this week. The defense was able to get tons of pressure. Sounds good. This feels like the best team in football right now. Just feels like the best team and the most consistent team in football. It really does, because you look at every one of these teams, maybe outside of the Cowboys, honestly. Cowboys maybe should be a little higher on this list, but I do like the wait and see approach. I don't try to be reactionary or overreacting to stuff like this, but it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. So happy that my voice is back. Golly, I sound like an angel. Me. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. Until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.